I'm Madam Joyce from Educare TZ. I'm teaching biology, and today I'll be with you to discuss the topic that is cytology. Mainly it is found in class level Form 5, and here we are going to deal with our subtopic that is biochemistry. So my student, we have to remind ourselves where did we end on the previous session. In the previous session, we tried to see the simple introduction of biochemistry, and we have seen different organic components which made the biochemistry now. And so now we terminate by looking on the carbohydrate, specifically on the classes of carbohydrate. So my student, in this session we are going to clarify the first class of carbohydrate, and this is monosaccharide, or it is termed as a single sugar. So we are going to clarify what is this monosaccharide, or why is it termed as a single sugar. So now my student, you are warmly welcome again. Here we are saying that monosaccharide, these are the simplest carbohydrates having only one sugar or saccharide molecule, which cannot be hydrolyzed into small molecule. So when we are talking about the carbohydrate or the monosaccharide, they termed as a single sugar. It is because they have only one sugar or they have only one saccharide molecule, which cannot be hydrolyzed to form into small molecule. So ukiwa na monosaccharide moja hauwezi ukaihydrolyze in order to form another new or into a small molecule. You cannot form, and that's why it is termed as the single sugar, since it contains or it has only one saccharide or it has only one sugar. And also here we can say that now let's see the classification now of the monosaccharide. We have several classification of the monosaccharide. So simply here we can say that monosaccharides are classified into two ways as follow. So monosaccharide, they are classified into two ways as follows. So the first classification, that is, they are classified according to two different characteristics: the placement of its carbonyl group and the number of carbon atom it contains. So tunaweza tukaclassify carbohydrate is due to the placement of its carbonyl group in that structure. Remember, when we are talking about the carbonyl group, we are talking about the aldehyde together with the ketone. Ndiyo ambayo sasa inatengeneza the carbonyl group. So we can classify monosaccharide according to the placement of its carbonyl group and also the number of carbon atom they contain. So if the carbon atom hiko moja, so tutaitemd as its name. So now let's see. As for the first characteristics, if the carbonyl group is an aldehyde, the monosaccharide is an aldose, and if the carbonyl group is a ketone, the monosaccharide is ketose. So the first one, we have said that we can classify by looking or by the placement of carbonyl group in that structure. Sasa basi kama carbonyl group ambayo inapatikana kwenye hiyo structure ya monosaccharide ni aldehyde, hiyo monosaccharide tutaita aldose. Na kama carbonyl group inapatikana kwenye hiyo structure ni ketone, basi hiyo monosaccharide tutaita ketose. And now we can also say that but the second one, you can see it is according to the number of carbon atom they contain. It depends on the number of carbon atom they contain. So how now? Here simply we can say that monosaccharide with 3 carbon atom, they are called trios. So kama kuna monosaccharide ambayo ina contain only 3 carbon atom, hiyo monosaccharide tutaiita trios. So those with 4 carbon atoms are called tetros, and those with 5 carbon atom, they are called pentoses, and those with 6 carbon atom, they are called hexos. So those are the classification based on the number of atoms they contain. So now let's see one after another, starting with the trios. That is the monosaccharide which contain 3 carbon atoms. And here we are saying that these are the smallest molecule of monosaccharide which contain 3 carbon atom in their molecule. So hii carbon atom ambayo inaitwa trios, simply it has 3 carbon atom in its structure, na ndiyo ambapo inajipa jina la tetros. So let's see the examples now of these tetros. So examples are, we have the glyceraldehyde and dihydroxyacetone. Their empirical formula is C3H6 and O3. So tukiangalia now the structure or the examples of these trios, ya kwanza tumesema inaitwa glyceraldehyde na ya pili inaitwa dihydroxyacetone. Na empirical formula ya hii trios ina stand as carbon ziko 3, hydrogen molecule au hydrogen atom 6 na oxygen atom ziko 3, ndiyo ambayo inatengeneza structure ya trios. It can be either glyceraldehyde au dihydroxyacetone. And so we have another classification of monosaccharide based on the number, that is tetros. So that they are monosaccharide that contain 4 carbon atoms, such as erythrose and threose, and their empirical formula is C4H8O4. So that is the empirical formula. So tukisema tetros tunamaanisha kwamba ni kind of monosaccharide that they contain 4 carbon atom. And now you can see even in their empirical formula it contains 4 carbon atom. And that's bring about tetros. And make sure that you know example of each classification based on the number of atoms. And here I've mentioned for you that is we have erythrose and this threose. All of them, they are tetros. We have another classification based on the number of carbon atom, and that is the pentos. So these pentos, they contain 5 carbon atoms in their molecules. Example are ribose and deoxyribose. So, and also we have ribulose and arabinose. So their empirical formula is C5H10O5. So tukiongelea pentose ni carbon atom au monosaccharide ambayo ina contain 5 carbon atom. And example of it we have seen, we have almost 4 examples. So you can take even 2, that will be enough for you for answering in different kind of exam. So now we have ribulose, we have deoxyribose, ribulose, and also we have arabinose. All of them, they are the pentose, but the empirical formula, it is the C5. Now you can see this carbon ziko 5. So that's bring about the pentose. And also the hydrogen atom, they are about 10. But the oxygen atom, they are 5. So that is the empirical structure or the empirical formula of the pentose sugar. We have another one, that is the hexose, or it is termed as hexose. So these hexoses, they are monosaccharide that contain 6 carbon atoms in their molecules, such as glucose, fructose, and galactose. And the empirical formula, now you can see, it is carbon 6, hydrogen atom 12, oxygen atom 6. So tukiongelea hexose sugar, hizi ndizo ambazo sasa tutaenda kuzidiscuss kwa upana zaidi. So hizi monosaccharide ambayo ina contain hexose, they are termed as hexose, is simply because they have almost 6 carbon atom in their structure. And a good example of it, we have glucose. Glucose is the hexose sugar, but also we have fructose and galactose. And in their empirical formula, you can see there is 6 carbon atom, and that's bring about the hexose. And now here you can see they are most commonly monosaccharide. Hizi ndizo common monosaccharide ambazo we are familiar with it. I hope when I say glucose, you know. Fructose, I've already mentioned to you the examples of fructose. Where are they found? Where are the source of fructose? And also galactose. I hope you are familiar with it. So since we have already discussed about it. So now we have another classification of monosaccharide, that is heptose. So these heptose, they contain 7 carbon atom in their molecule, and the empirical formula is C7, that is carbon 7, hydrogen atom, they are 14, and oxygen atom, they are 7. So his heptose sugar ni kind of monosaccharide that contain about 70 carbon atom in their structure, and now you can see we have 70 carbon atom in their structure. So these two systems of classification of monosaccharide are often combined. So for instance, we have glycerolaldehyde and aldose, or they are 3 carbon aldehyde. So zile system mbili za kuclassify kwa maana kwamba based on the number of carbonyl group that they attached in the structure, na pia based on the number of carbon atom which is present within the structure, they are combined. Ndipo ambapo sasa tunapata a general structure of this monosaccharide. For instance, here unaweza ukaona we have this glycerolaldehyde. The glycerolaldehyde ni ni monosaccharide ambayo imecontain 3 carbon atom. While in that structure also there is a carbonyl group, and that carbonyl group, it is termed as the aldehyde. Not only that, we have an aldotriose. The aldotriose, meaning that within that structure there is the presence of the ketone group. So my students, let's end here. In the next part, we're going to clarify more on this system of naming, or in the system now of naming the monosaccharide or classifying monosaccharide, and we will going more further discussing on the properties of the monosaccharide. So thank you for your time and for listening.